What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Pens and Tea. My name is Carrie, and today we're continuing on our top 5 series of 2021. I don't know why I want to say it like that. So I just finished filming my top 5 2021 fountain pens. So I thought it's only right if I do my top 5 2021 fountain pen inks. So I mean, let's just jump into it. This is going to be a longer video. I will show swabs of all of the ink colors at the end. I have done them already. They're just drying beside me while I ramble on to you all. So stay tuned to that at the end. But I'm going to start with the one that, for those of you who watch me consistently, you already know what's here. These top 5 are in no particular order. They just are my top 5. But one that is consistent, that everyone knows I am obsessed with, it is Mont Blanc James Purdy & Son Single Malt. It is a very expensive ink, which you can no longer buy. Well, new at least. This is like, I think it's like a $50 ink or something like that for Canadians. It's stupid expensive, but of course, it has to be my favorite. And it is the only ink I've actually bought 2 bottles of. I have another bottle unused, waiting, because I'm about halfway, maybe slightly over halfway done, the bottle of the ink. And when this is out, I would have been absolutely gutted if I did not have another one. This is a scented ink, so it does have, I love it so much. It does have a boozy smell, and it just smells so flippin' good. I love it so much. I bought this ink from La Couronne de Comte, or however you pronounce that, I don't know. When I had like a 20% off coupon or something like that. And so I pulled the trigger. I bought a bunch of inks at the time. This is one of them. This one I typically like to put in my Pilot Custom A23 Amber with a medium nib. And just the 2 of them pair so beautifully. I absolutely love it. And it's also one of the few inks that I even keep in its box. So definitely that had no doubt in my mind to be in the top 5. Another one that had 0 doubt in my top 5 is Pilot Iroshizuku Tsukiyo. So this is a blue-black fountain pen ink, which, even though it's only down to like here, I've used it a ton. It just doesn't look like it. It is 50 mils, so you do get quite a bit. This is also a more expensive ink. But what I love about the Iroshizuku line is that the bottle is outstanding. It's super pretty to look at. And they're really well-behaving inks. Same with the Mont Blanc James Purdy & Son. It cleans out of fountain pens, great, well-behaving ink, doesn't tend to feather, doesn't tend to smear, dries pretty decently, and is decently wet as an ink goes. I really like to put this one in my Pilot Custom 823. No, not 823, it's 912 with the Falcon nib. It just, between the Falcon nib and the ebonite feed and then this ink, just comes out of there like a fire hose. And I love that this gets a red sheen when it just pools out like crazy. And of course on like Tomoe River paper. So I absolutely love this fountain pen ink. It's probably my favorite Iroshizuku ink, probably my favorite Pilot ink. I have used pretty much the entire Iroshizuku line. I used to have a bottle of Konpeki and Yamabudo. I went through both of those. Yamabudo, I actually gave away a lot of the ink samples to people. Konpeki I like, it's just too bright for me now. I prefer the darker Tsukiyo. So those are 2 there. Another staple that's pretty much always with me, that I don't use as often as the James Purdy, the Tsukiyo, or the one I'm going to talk about next. I don't use it as often, but when I do, c'est magnifique. I also like to put it in my Pilot Custom A23 Amber, and now my Falcon nib as well with ebonite, because this is a bit of a drier ink, but it is one that I've had for a very long time, and that is J.Herbin Lidité. So I'm a little over halfway through the bottle. It's a small bottle. It's only 30 mils. Yeah, 30 mils. It's a terrible bottle. I hate the bottle because it's so hard to fill out of. So I usually end up decanting. Oh, I have ink on my hand. I don't see it anywhere else, so I think I'm in the clear. It's a terrible bottle. It's absurd to fill from because it's so short. But I do quite like the ink color. It's been in my collection since the dawn of time, pretty much. I'm very picky about the pens that I put it in because it is a drier ink. So for that reason, I don't use it as much. But when I find the right pen, I absolutely love it. And I always recommend it to people. It's supposed to be like tea leaves, right? So it's a brown, it's a rich brown with like a slightly yellow tone to it, which you'll see in a moment here. And it shades really, really well. Sukiyo also shades really well, and same with Mont Blanc J.Herbin Sons. The one that is coming up doesn't shade as well, but anyways, I do like shading inks. But this one just, it hits me right every time I do use it. And for that reason, when I eventually am done this bottle, I will pick up another one. The next ink is a sleeper ink for me. I've had this bottle actually for a few years, and now looking into the light, I'm about a third of the way done. The bottle, I've had it now since 2016, but I haven't really started to use it. I know, and it's teasing you now. I haven't really started to use it until this past year, and now I use it all the time. In fact, it's pretty much always inked up in a different pen. And that is, and this is gonna suck for you guys, KWZ Northern Twilight. The reason it's gonna suck for you guys is because you can't buy it. This is a Scriptus ink. So 2016 Scriptus pen show in Toronto. This was their exclusive ink. It did come back another year after that. But the past 2 years has been canceled because of the, world events. So I don't know. When I first got it, I didn't like it because it's so dark. It is so dark. And it just didn't, I didn't love it. It's very, very, very dark blue. Definitely a blue black. This is technically a blue black as well, but it's way darker than this. Smells amazing. Any KWZ, I am a huge fan of that like vanilla-y smell. Some people hate it, but I just love it. I adore it. KWZ Honey was an ink that was actually gifted to me, and that was the first KWZ ink I ever had. And I wasn't expecting the smell, but I love it so much. And every KWZ ink since has had it. I don't know if that's a scent that they add or a byproduct or what, but I hope they never change it because I adore it. So I've had this ink for so long, and when I went through a purge like a year ago, I go through a purge like almost every year, and for whatever reason, I just could not bring myself to throw this out, and I am so happy that I didn't, because I really like it now. I like it mostly in all of my Pilot pens, I think because they are a little bit wetter, but the first time I put this in an ink this year was my Pilot Custom 74, and I absolutely fell in love with it. And ever since then, like I said, it's pretty much been a constant ink pen. Currently, I have it in my fine nib 823, and it's just outstanding. It is absolutely outstanding. So I'm very happy that I never ended up purging that ink. Okay, so we've talked about Pilot Iro Shizuku Sukiyo, Mont Blanc J.Herbin Sons, KWZ Northern Twilight, and we have talked about J.Herbin Lee Tete. The fifth ink that I'm going to talk about, I don't actually own anymore. Yet. I bought a sample, so just a little vial size from Van Ness Pens. They gave me 4 milliliters of an Ackermann ink. It's a little contested as to what it's called because it's called something different in North America versus the Netherlands where it's from. I'm going to use the name that it was on the vial label when I bought it from Van Ness Pens, and that was Ackermann Dutch Masters No. 9 Red Chalk. I know it's called something else. but I don't know what it's actually called. So I have tried a couple times to pick up a bottle of that. I have not been able to find it. It has either been sold out everywhere or some sites say that it's not being made anymore. So I don't know what's happening with that. I'm not a huge red ink person, but for whatever reason, that one just got me right. And I think it's because I had put it in my Aurora Optima fountain pen, the burgundy one. And this has a medium fine nib tuned by Dan Smith at nibsmith.com. So it's super wet. And there was just something about that ink that really got, hit me in the heart. I had it in the summer. I was using it at the cottage. So maybe all of those factors, I don't know. But I used up all 4 milliliters of that ink very quickly. And I was very sad when it was done. Usually when I have a sample, especially if it's 4 milliliters, I don't use all of it. I'll ink up a pen fully, whatever its capacity is. And then usually by the time I'm done that one, I don't have the desire to continue using that ink. I change my inks so often that there's a very few amount of inks that I'm willing to either keep constantly inked or keep going back to time and time again, which is why coming up with a top 5 sometimes is hard. This year was relatively easy, especially with these 3. Because for whatever reason, they're just always there. And this one with 4 milliliters, usually a sample only has 2. I went through so quick and I was bummed when it was done. So I do plan on trying to find a bottle of that to purchase. And I will again show you a, writing sample of it, but I no longer have it, so I can't show you the fresh sample that I have for these 4. I'm going to go back and show you old ones, but it's outstanding. So, so if I can find it, I will, because that ink sticks in the memory bank, and that is very uncommon for me. So, Ackerman, number 9, Dutch Masters, Red Chalk, J.Herbin, Lidete, KWZ, Northern, Twilight, Mont Blanc, James Purdy & Sons Single Malt, and Pilot Iroshizuku Tsukiyo. Those are my top 5 inks for 2021. Have you used any of these? Did you like any of these? Do you hate any of these? What are your top 5s? Let me know in the comment section down below. Hit that like and subscribe. All the things that all the tubes of you tell you to do. And as always, I'll see you next time. Guys, I hope you're safe. I hope you're healthy. I hope you had a great holiday. And I'll see you next time. Bye. Okay, so the 4 that I have here, I'm going to try and actually pick it up so it gets a little bit better lighting. This is Pilot Iroshizuku Tsukiyo. This is on, yeah, I got tons of stuff here. This is on my Galen Leather Everyday book. So it's Tomoe River paper. This is Tsukiyo. So the shading is really nice. It does have a red sheen that you can get as well if you have a super wet writer. And this is KWZ Northern Twilight. You don't, or at least I don't typically see that red sheen that came out there in my everyday writing. That is very, very heavily pooled. But it usually looks like this to be a little bit darker. In camera here, what you're seeing is slightly more green than what I see in person. This one's actually fairly accurate. This is slightly more green tinted than what I see in real life, but I very much like it. It's very dark. And it's sort of like practical writing is sort of in between these 2 swabs. This is J.Herbin Lidete. The honey side on the bottom here is for the most part what you'll see, but in a very wet writer, it will be dark as well. And you can imagine the shading is just outstanding. And then Mont Blanc, James Purdy & Sons. It's coming off a little more reddy orange in real life, or sorry, on the camera than in real life, but it is fairly accurate for that shading. So those are the 4 of the bottles that I have. And let me find you some red chalk. No, not red chalk. Oh my God. If you have a bottle of red chalk, I would love it. Mont Blanc, Leonardo. Whew. So this is one of the things that I wrote here. Ackerman, Dutch Masters, Redstone. It sort of has the vibe of my Mont Blanc, James Purdy & Sons, but more red rather than orange. It shades so well. I just flippin' love it. So much. So I have a swab here, but like I said, it's really old. But the writing sample that I showed you there is a little more accurate as far as the color. The color is coming off a little more orange on camera than in real life. But yeah, that's the one.